What's up guys, and welcome back to another episode of the Pokémon DataDex with me, TheOneIntegral. In last week's episode we covered the only crocodile, the ground dark type from the Unova region, and I asked you guys which Mega Evolution, the water Mega Evolution specifically, you wanted me to cover this week. It was a choice between Slowbro and Swampert came out on top, so that's who we're going to be covering this week. But of course we have next week's vote to decide first before we start that, and the decision, the fight is going to be between two pink Pokemon. We have Chansey and Sylveon. We have the normal Pokemon Chansey from the Kanto region and the fairy type evolution from Kalos. Which Pokemon do you want to see next week? Let me know by just simply commenting either Chansey or Sylveon down below in the comment section, and the one with the most votes I'll cover next week. But for now, let's get, jump straight into our one and only Swampert. So, Swampert, it is Pokédex number 260 from the Hoenn region, of course, being the final evolution of Mudkip, the water type starter Pokemon there, and is a water ground type, also being the Mudfish Pokemon, fish, mud, ground, water. It makes a lot of sense there. Dimension wise, it stands at 4 foot 11 inches tall or 1.5 meters tall, so it's not a huge Pokemon, but it is pretty bulky. And in terms of how much it actually weighs 180.6 pounds or 81.9 kilograms, so then it's not huge, but it's still pretty big. In terms of breeding and all of that fun stuff, it's in the Monster and Water 1 egg groups because, well, it's a monster and it's related to water, so, go fish. And the male-female split is 87.5% male, 12.5% female, because that's, what all the starters are. See my Why Some Pokemon Are Rare video for that information, etc. Plugs. Now, evolution-wise, as I said, it's the final evolution of Mudkip, and Mudkip will evolve into Marshtop starting at level 16, and then Marshtop will further evolve into Swampert starting at level 36, as with any starters, really. Base stat wise, for Swampert though, taking a look here, you can see its highest base stat here is attack at 110, then its health points at 100, and then further down we have defense and special defense at 90 each, special attack at 85, and then finally speed at 60. So it's a physical attacker for the most part. It's fairly bulky thanks to its high health point stat, but it's a slow Pokemon at only 60 speed, but it has reasonably good defenses as well. That sort of sums up Swampert there. Ability wise, there are two available for Swampert to have, the first one being Torrent, the same as every water type starter, which just ups water type moves when your health points are low, and then the hidden ability is Damp, which prevents the use of self-destructing moves, and sort of, which is better here, who knows really, but Torrent I guess is better if you're going on the offensive, or Damp is better if you're going on the defensive, since you don't really want to get hit by a self-destruct or an explosion if you can really help it. And obviously you don't really need the power up from Torrent if you're just going for a defensive set there. So then let's have a look at the typing for Swampert. We have a water ground type, so how does that affect the type effectivenesses? Well, it resists 4 types, just a fire, poison, rock and steel rather, and is weak to only the one single type, which is grass obviously, but is weak to it 4 times, so we have to be careful for that. It is immune to electric type moves though, thanks to the part ground typing, and of course then it takes neutral from all these other types. So the typing isn't an amazing type. Yes, you're only weak to one type, but of course you are 4 times weak to it, not just 2 times. You only resist 4 types really. You are immune to ones, that's a benefit, but then you have here, 12 types that you take neutral damage from, so it's not a reasonable split, but you still have the 4 resistances, so you can bank on them to help you out. So what might you want to use on Swampert? Well, let's just jump in, why not? Level up moves. The first one we have is Protect, which is obviously also a TM move, but we're looking at level up as well, because it does learn it by level up. And it's at level 42 in X and Y or 32 in Auras. Protect, obviously protecting you for a move. You might want to use that on a defensive set when you've got something else going on in the background, like leftovers for example, just to sort of last out and be a bit stally. Then at level 52 or 51 we also have Earthquake. Again, that's a TM move, so you can just teach it via that. So really there are no level up moves you have to have for Swampert here. But of course Earthquake is your ground type stab. There's no reason why you wouldn't use that. You don't really get a ground type special move, so there's really no reason to think about that at all. Just want to use Earthquake basically. So that's the level up moves there. We can then move on to the TMs. We have TM05 Roar. Obviously again it's beneficial for a defensive set, because if you have a grass type coming you don't really want to be stuck in with them. Or if they're sort of trying to set up on you, you don't really want that, so you can roar them out at the end. Then we have TM06 Toxic, which is obviously going to badly poison the opponent. Again, can be combined with Protect and Roar, maybe not Roar, but Protect at least in a defensive set if you Toxic the opponent, and then you can Protect every other turn to slowly stall them out. Of course, it's not the funnest strategy, but it can be useful. Then we have TM18 Rain Dance, which obviously makes it rain, which is going to be best beneficial for your water type moves as well as for Mega Swampert, as we will look at in a minute. Then we have TM44 Rest, obviously a move where you go to sleep for a few turns and rest to full health points. This is useful because Swampert has no innate sort of healing abilities anyway, there's no ability for it, there's no other moves really apart from Rest. And especially if you're using a Mega Swampert, you can't have leftovers, so Rest is very useful indeed for some sets. Then we have TM55 Scold. Yes, a special move here. It's an option to run on a Swampert set, not because it'll do loads of damage, but because it has the chance to burn the opponent. And especially if you're going for a defensive set, that's going to be very useful for you if you do manage to get a burn off on a physical attacker, because that nullifies them, and it means you're going to be even more defensive. So that's the only reason why you might want to use it there. You don't want to use it as a sort of a pure attacking move, basically. Then we have TM88 Sleep Talk, which goes hand in hand with Rest, of course, so while you're asleep you can still Sleep Talk and hopefully use some moves, which is pretty useful, you know. Then we have the final TM here, TM98 Power Up Punch, physical fighting type move which increases your attack when used. This can be useful especially for defensive sets, because you know, even if you're sitting around not really doing much damage to begin with, you can just use Power Up Punch every now and again, and eventually you're going to get +5 attack, which is pretty good, and you can sort of roll off of that. Of course it's useful for offensive sets too, because you're going to do decent damage to begin with, and using a Power Up Punch or two is going to increase the power of your stand moves even more. Then we have our physical water type move, HM05 Waterfall. Of course it's a pretty good move, why would you not want to use it? Physical water type move is your water type stab, basically. There's not really anything better than it that Swampert gets, so Waterfall is the way to go there. Then we have a few moves here left over, one of them being an egg move, which is Curse. Curse decreases your speed but increases your attack and your defense, which is really good actually, because Swampert doesn't really rely on speed at all. You know, it doesn't care about his speed, so having an attack and defense boost is pretty good though, because obviously it's a physical attacker and can be reasonably physical defensive if you decide to go that route as well. Then, to finish up, we have some tutor moves. The first one being Ice Punch. Obviously, it's both from Auras. Ice Punch, physical, Ice type, just gives you more coverage in general. And then finally, we have Stealth Rock, which is useful for defensive sets again, because just often gives you a sort of another option to use and just Stealth Rock up the enemy's side of the field. But those are the moves there for Swampert. If we then move on to start looking at Mega Swampert before we move on to the sets. So, Mega Swampert there, nice and bulky. It keeps the same typing, water grounds, there's no change there. But its dimensions do change a little bit indeed. It now goes to 6 foot 3 inches tall or 1.9 meters tall, so it's now a pretty big beast. And it now weighs 224.9 pounds or 102 kilograms, so it's pretty darn heavy as well. In terms of its Megastone, these Swampertites can be found or can be received on Route 120 or Route 114, either Route 120 if you picked Mudkip, in which case Stephen will give it to you, or on Route 114 to buy it from the Stone Seller if you chose either Torchic or Trico. When Swampert Mega evolves, as you can see, it gets pretty bulky. It's always the good joke that it skipped leg day, because it has massive arms and a pretty bulky body as well. Base stat wise for Mega Swampert, if we look here, the health points are obviously the same because they always stay the same, but its attack has gotten a boost up to 150, which is very, very powerful indeed. A very high attack stat, so it's still your highest stat thanks to those big, bulky arms. Its defense also gains a small boost up to 120, or 110 rather, so it's getting even more physically bulky. Its special attack also gains a small boost, only of 10 though, but it still gets up to 95. Special defense again gets a boost there, up to 110, and speed even gets a small boost up to 70 as well. So it's a pretty all-round sort of, you get, what, is it 13 attack or 14 attack? 14 attack, and then sort of the rest is spread across the other types, or other stats rather. Doesn't lose anything there, so it's an all-round Mega, but obviously the focus on attack there. Ability-wise, however, though, for Mega Swampert, its ability is Swift Swim, which doubles its speed stat in the rain, and that's where Rain Dance comes into effect from earlier moves, because obviously if the rain's up when you're in battle, you're going to get double speed, so as well as having 150 attack, you're also going to have 140 speed technically, which is really, really fast, and really powerful when combined with that much attack, as well as pretty good defenses as well. So all round, if Mega Swampert is in the rain is going to be a very, very powerful beast, so watch out for that indeed. So let's then move on to the sets for Swampert and Mega Swampert. We've got 2 Swampert sets and then 4 Mega Swampert sets, because there are a few different ways to use it and utilise it. So, Swampert first. The moveset for the first one is going to be Stealth Rock, Earthquake, Scold, Roar, Toxic or Protect, The ability can be torrent or damp, it's really up to your own discretion. Nature is a relaxed one, which means it's going to get increased defense and lowered speed, because obviously you don't want to lower your special attack rather, because you're going to use it with Scold, so you're going to, if you did do that, you're going to lose some of your power, and you don't really need the speed for this set at all. Held items are leftovers to give you that overtime helping restoration when combined with protect, for example. And then EVs are putting maximum defense, 214 health points, and then 16 in attack. So this is basically a physically defensive set, basically. Stealth Rock is here because you don't really need any other moves apart from the other ones below it. So Stealth Rock can be used as another option to have a Stealth Rock on your team. Earthquake is obviously your ground type stab. Scold is a water type stab. You could run Waterfall here if you wanted to instead to get some more power out of it, but it's a defensive set, so you're not really looking for that. Scold is really there to try and burn the opponents so you can actually get some more use out of your defensive stats. And then we have Raw, Toxic, or Protect. This is up to you. Raw is going to prevent you getting set up on. Toxic is going to give you another option to actually kill opponents basically over time, and then Protect is there if you want to go like sort of full defensive and be able to protect every other turn and get leftovers to restore some health points as you go. How would you use this set, the first one? Well, you sort of go in, you Stealth Rock if you want to, and you can attack, and then basically if you're in Protect, you just attack, protect every other turn, get some damage off, and then Protect up so your leftovers can heal you up a bit. But obviously you don't want to use it too liberally, because if a grass type attack comes in, you're pretty screwed. So you want to play careful with it, but it's a pretty big beast to begin with anyway. Then the next set we have here. We're going to start off with the moves, which are going to be Earthquake, Waterfall, Ice Punch, and then Superpower or Stone Edge. 2 moves I haven't talked about in the move section because they aren't used too much, but this is sort of your all-out attacking set for normal Swampert, which isn't seen too often because it's not great for all-out attacking because it doesn't have that higher speed in either form, but as normal Swampert, so it's not really great for all-out attacking, but we're going for it anyway. The ability this time is Torrent because you want as much damage as you can pull out of the set basically. Nature is an adamant one, which is going to increase our physical attack and lower our special attack because we're not using that this time. And the held item here can be a choice band, or it can be a life orb, I suppose. But really, it's up to you. I'd recommend choice band because it's a case of going in, attacking, and switching out basically. And then finally, we have the EVs, which are going to be maximum attack 208 health points, 44 in speed, and then the final 4 in special defense. This is just to sort of give you a good spread, maximum attack for all the power though, and then a good spread of bulk, speed, and then a bit more defensiveness to allow you to survive some moves and outspeed some of the slower Pokemon. Just a good mix, because apart from maximum attack, you're not really going to gain much usefulness from maximizing anything else. Max speed, you're still going to be pretty slow. Max health points, yeah, you'll be bulky, but you're still going to, whatever. You guys get the idea. How would you use this set? Well, the choice band set, it's pretty standard. You go in, you attack, you switch out, and it's not so good anymore. And that's your choice band, basically. So, let's move on to the Mega Swampert sets, which is, certainly where it gets a bit more interesting, because it allows you to sort of actually be better, I guess. Moveset wise, for this first one, we're going to have Rain Dance, Waterfall, Earthquake, and then Ice Punch or Power Up Punch. Ability is going to be Damp this time, mainly because we don't ever want to be that low on health points when we get to a Torrent stage. And then Nature, Adamant, or Jolly, really depends on whether you want power or speed. Held item is the Swampert type, aka the Mega Stone, and then the EV is here we're having maximum attack and speed, and the rest in special defense. So this is a set that basically relies on Rain Dance and the rain. If you already have rain somewhere else on your team or the enemy team, great, you can use that. Obviously, if not, you have to use Rain Dance. So generally, you want to Mega Evolution and Rain Dance on the same turn, so you can start getting the benefit of the turn, the next turn. Because obviously, it's not going to kick in on the first turn. When you Mega Evolve, the speed used is your normal sort of form speed, so you don't gain it on the first turn. So you may as well Mega Evolve, Rain Dance, and then you get your boost next time. After the rain is up, you can run around with a huge speed. Obviously, depending on whether you have Adamant or Jolly, you're going to have even more speed or just more power. You don't really need Jolly in my opinion, but you can run it if you want to. But also maximum attack and speed EVs, you're still going to do a lot of damage and be pretty fast as well, with 140 base speed in the rain. Then you have Waterfall, Earthquake, which are 2 main stabs there to do lots of damage with, and then Ice Punch or Power Up Punch is your optional moves. Power Up Punch, yes, if you use it once or twice you are going to get attack boost from it, but it means you have to actually use it and not one of your stabs, which are arguably going to do more damage. So you might want to think about running Ice Punch in the case you run up against the grass type. Because otherwise you're pretty screwed against grass types. If Waterfall and Earthquake aren't doing anything, Power Up Punch is a pretty low power, so if you come up against the grass type, especially grass poison type, you're screwed unless you have Ice Punch. That's the option you might want to think about doing there. How would you use this set? Well, as I mentioned, it's pretty simple. You go in, you Mega Evolve and use Rain Dance, and then you just run through the enemy team is the best way to do it. Of course, if a Grass type comes in, you want to switch out, because your defenses, yes, they're fairly high, but you're 4 times weak to it, so it's not the best option there, unless you're running Ice Punch, in which case you can try and take him on. So, if we then move on to the second Mega Swampert set, we have, this one's going to be more of a defensive one, so we're going to have Stealth Rock, Waterfall, Earthquake, and Ice Punch. Ability is going to be Damp. Nature's time is an adamant one still though. Held item is a Swampert, and the EVs are maximum attack, 212 health points, and 44 in speed. So it's a little more defensive. It's not sort of relying on Rain Dance, because you have more, there's no speed investment here, so you're not looking at being really fast. You're looking at, okay, there's no rain, so we're just going to have to deal with what we got, which is still pretty good. So slightly more defensive, we have Stealth Rock, Waterfall, Earthquake, and Ice Punch for your stabs, an extra move, and then you don't really want Power Up Punch here, since it's going to do, it's not really as useful, I guess, since you don't have the rain and the speed to boost you up, because obviously if, say, you could survive 2 attacks, yes, you can do Power Up Punch, you got +2 attack, you're almost going to die on the next turn, but the rain's up, so you can actually outspeed the opponent, whereas in this case you can't do that. But then Stealth Rock is just your other move to fill it out in case you want to use Stealth Rock at some point. Damp is the ability, because again, why would you want to be low on health points, I guess, with Torrent, and obviously it's only going to power up 1 move, whereas Damp is just going to protect you against the other sort of self-destructing moves, which could be useful in some cases, but Torrent Blaze and Overgrow aren't that useful abilities overall, so Damp is the way to go, I believe, here. Adamant Nature is because we don't want the speed, we just want pure attack, basically there, and then the held item again, obviously Mega Stone, because it's a Mega. And then EV's rather maximum attack, because we still want loads of power, but then 212 health points, so we're still fairly bulky, and then 44 in speed, so we are still reasonably fast, and can outspeed a good, not a good amount, but a decent amount of Pokemon, and still outspeed them, basically. How would you use this set? Well, similar to how we used the defensive set first time, you'd go and use Stealth Rock if you want to, obviously you'd Mega as well, and then you just start dishing out the pain, again being quite cautious in case a Grass type came out, or a Pokemon with Grass type move in general, so I have to be careful with that. But we have 2 more sets to cover, so let's quickly jump onto those. This one here is going to be a Rest Sleep Talk set, which is quite interesting. We're going to have Scold, Earthquake, and then obviously Rest and Sleep Talk. Ability is Damp once more, because we don't want any explosions. Nature is a relaxed one this time, which is going to increase our defense but lower our speed, because again we have Scold, so we don't want to lower our special attack, and we don't care about speed. Held item is the Mega Stone once more, and then the EVs were having maximum health points in defense and the rest in special defense. So we're sort of going physical defense here, because again we can use Scold to attempt to burn physical attackers and sort of take their attacks even harder, whereas if we went for maximum special defense, yes, okay, you can get a burn, but it's, until you get the burn you're still going to be at the wrath of their mercy sort of thing. So mercy of their wrath, that's what I meant to say. But yeah, Scold and Earthquake are the 2 stabs here. Scold is sort of just to burn the opponents, or when of course they're Levitator or a Flying type, and Earthquake is your main move, I guess. Rest and Sleep Talk, once you're on lower health, use Rest, and then you can Sleep Talk for 2 moves while you're asleep, and then get back to it. Of course you have to time your rests, because you're not going to be the fastest Pokemon, so you have to say what health points am I going to be after their next attack, and then think about using Rest there. Ability, as I mentioned, is Damp because we don't want explosions. Nature is Relaxed because we don't want to lower our special attack, but we don't want to increase our defense more. And then EVs I've talked about already, we want a offensive Pokemon to synchronize with Scold rather than going for a special defensive one. How would you use this set? Well, as I mentioned, sort of just how I did there. You go in, you attack until you get low health, you rest, and then you go and Sleep Talk, and then you can repeat the cycle basically, and hope you don't get critical hitted. So that is that one, and then moving on to the final set here, which is going to be a Curse set. So the moves we have Curse, Earthquake, Rest, and then Ice Punch or Scold. Held item, ability is going to be Damp once more. Nature is going to be a Careful or a Sassy nature this time. Held item is the Mega Stone again. And the EVs are maximum health points, maximum special defense this time, and then the rest in physical defense. Why have we got maximum special defense rather than physical defense? Well, it's because we have Curse. And that's what we want to be spamming. We want to spam Curse, as many times as we can to increase our attack and our defense. And obviously with our defense increasing, there's no point in, well, there is point in it, but it's better to increase our special defense to begin with, because it's not going to get any boosts at all, whereas our physical defense is. Earthquake is your stab, obviously again, Rest is there, so once you've used Curse once or twice you're likely to be on lower health, so you can rest, and then obviously once the sleep runs out, hopefully you would have more health than you would last time, because obviously if you're against a physical attacker, they're going to do less damage the more times you Curse. Of course this all depends on whether they switch out or not, so you have to be careful for that. There's no Sleep Talk here, you could run out I suppose instead of Ice Punch or Scold, but it's better to run Ice Punch or Scald, because once you get a couple of curses going, you're going to have higher attack, so you can start rolling with that and have Ice Punch to counter any grass types that come in, or Scald to sort of throw more out. I mean, you're not going to get the boost from the curse there, obviously, but Scald is there to throw out more burns, if possible, against physical attackers to make yourself even more resistant, basically. Damp, again, is because we don't want explosions ruining our day, even though we're going to have high defense, but whatever. And then the nature here is Careful or Sassy. It depends on whether you have Scald or not, because obviously Careful is going to increase your special defense and lower your special attack, because we're not using special attack if we have Ice Punch. And then obviously Sassy does the same, but it lowers our speed rather than our special attack, because we want Scald to do some decent damage still. So yeah, that's that. And obviously EVs, again, we're getting maximum special defense to begin with, because we're going to increase our defense to begin with, to in the actual battle, rather than having innate stats to begin with. So how is you use this set? Well, I sort of mentioned it already. You go and you curse once or twice. You can attack if you want, whenever you want, and then obviously once you get low health, rest again. If you see a special attacker come out, obviously you're going to have high special defensive stats, because you're given sort of all the nature and stuff to it. So you should be able to take some damage there, but you want to be careful of it, because obviously grass type moves. But that's the final set there for Swampert, and that's it for Swampert's DataDex. So, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, hit the like button, and of course we have to remember to vote for next week's Pokémon, which is going to be Chansey or Sylveon, depending on how many votes they get, basically. So, comment down below saying Chansey or Sylveon, and the one with most votes will be covered next week. But for now, that's going to be it for me for today. I'll be seeing you next time. Thank you for watching. Goodbye, my friends.